please, feel free, type them in the thing. Now I gotta go live. Okay, there we go. And then I covered myself. All right. Okay. Hey, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. All right. It is now 7 p.m. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have already given my welcome over to the TikTok universe, but let me give my welcome to the other platforms. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Who's Getting Sued. I am Natalie Pierre-Lewis. I am the host. I am a business and trademark attorney. I have been doing this for a little over 18 years. I've started multiple businesses for myself and others. I've had many careers in the realms of entrepreneurship, the law, education, hospitality, and administrative support. And most important, I'm very passionate about making business and legal education as accessible to everyone as possible. Not everybody has the time, the money, or the desire to go to business school or to law school, but a lot of you have amazing business ideas. And if you're going to be successful in business, there are some things that you need to know. There's no way around it. So that is why I get on here Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I teach those concepts here, okay? What I do is I pull stories from the news, stories about our favorite celebrities, and I take those stories and, pull the business lessons out of them. So this is a time for you to ask questions. Don't be shy. This is our time to learn those things that we need to be a real boss in these streets, okay? So I'm going to start with our first story of the night. Let me get this up here, okay? All right, how many of y'all are ready for March Madness? If you are ready for March Madness, hey, thank you, admin for creatives. Admin for, before I even start, hey, Round Noonish, hey, Sugar. Round Noonish, I sent you an email. There is a seminar being held by the U.S. Copyright Office tomorrow at 1 p.m. It's totally free. They're going to be teaching people about their new copyright system. I emailed you the link, okay? So hopefully it's something that you can use. All right, but let's move on here. My basketball fans, please give me a basketball emoji. Basketball emojis, okay? Give me a basketball emoji. How many of y'all are ready for March Madness? How many of y'all are ready for March Madness? If you are a person who goes in for March Madness, please type March Madness in the comments, okay? All right, let me know. You got it? Okay. So admin for creatives, she's out here. She is a basketball fan, right? Now, those of you who are basketball fans, how many of you like to do online gambling, like FanDuel, DraftKings? Do any of you guys do online gambling? Let me know. Okay. Now, why am I asking you this, right? So online gambling has become very popular. You have you have FanDuel, you have DraftKings, you have no gambling. Well, good girl. Listen, I don't listen. Everybody has their thing. I do not understand gambling because I lose $5 and I'm gonna lose it. Okay. But for some people, gambling is part of the fun of sports, right? So there is a sports predictor app called Kalshi, right? And I don't believe you actually make bets on there, but they give you information, I guess, to help you make bets. So they were trying to promote their services for the NCAA's games, and they were using the term March Madness, and the NCAA said, girl, what are you doing? Why do you think the NCAA knocked on the door of Kalshi? Why would the NCAA knock on the door of Kalshi? Why? Because March Madness is a trademarked phrase, okay? That term March Madness, when you see the commercials for that, okay, that's why you can purchase merch. That is owned by the NCAA. So unless you have a proper deal with the NCAA for March Madness, you can't use that name. Now, I believe that NCAA does have deals with, FanDuel and DraftKings, but they do not have one with Kalshi, right? So Kalshi cannot use March Madness specifically. Now, can they talk about the individual games within March Madness? Absolutely. But they cannot use the phrase March Madness itself because that is trademark. And had they tried to go forward with that, they could have gotten into a big trademark infringement lawsuit with the NCAA. And we know that they don't want that smoke because the NCAA has a lot of coin. All right. So Kalshi said, we don't want the smoke with NCAA, so we are no longer using the term March Madness. All right. And the same thing is true with the Super Bowl. I don't know if you guys noticed, there were some businesses, when they were advertising things for the Super Bowl, some of them actually used the term Super Bowl and some of them used the term big game, right? The ones that use the term big game, it is because they do not have a license to use the term Super Bowl. Okay. So those terms, Super Bowl, March Madness, what happens in the NBA? Obviously, I'm not a big sports person. I don't know. What do they call the NBA thingies? I don't know sports, y'all. But all of those names for those special events within sports, they are trademarked. Okay. Yes. So that is our first story. So if you're ever trying to plan something around the Super Bowl or March Madness and you want to charge money for it, do not use those names in the advertising unless you have an actual deal. All right. Okay. Moving on to our next story. Moving on to our next story for the evening. Come on, yo. Okay. How do we have any Kansas City Chiefs fans in the house? Do we have any Kansas City Chiefs fans in the house? So the Kansas City Chiefs, they have two very popular players who play on their team. They have two very popular players who play on their team. Can you name those players for me? Can you name me two players from the Kansas City Chiefs? They won a couple of Super Bowls. One of them is engaged to a very famous music star. Anybody know the names? Okay, I won't leave you in suspense. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, okay? So these two, they have won a couple of Super Bowls together on the same team, and they have made a lot of money. And with that money, a lot of athletes, a lot of people who have money, they like to go into businesses together, right? So Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, they decided to open a restaurant together, okay? And they wanted to call their restaurant 1587 Prime. Why 1587 Prime? Because their jersey numbers, Mahomes' jersey is 15 and Kelsey's jersey is 87. So they're like, we're going to open a restaurant. We're going to call it 1587 Prime. Okay. And it's going to be a steakhouse. Now, they file a trademark application for this, right? They open the steakhouse with a business partner. They found a company that actually runs restaurants, and they were like, hey, can you help us? This company's called Noble 33. So the three of them, they go and they open this 1587 Prime Steakhouse, right? Now, in another timeline, in 2023, a sneaker line was started called 1587, okay? They are a sneaker line. They are sneakers. They never got a trademark, but what they did was, or when they first started, they finally got around to filing a trademark in 2024. And then they went on Shark Tank. So, on Shark Tank, you can get people to invest in your business idea. None of these sharks wanted to invest in 1587 sneakers. So moving forward, 1587, they're trying to do their thing, and they find out that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are opening a restaurant called 1587, and they are currently trying to sue them for trademark infringement. Why do you think that this is not going to go forward? Or why should it? Why do you think that this is not going to go forward? Okay, or should it? Okay. Now, like I said, the company, the shoe company, they filed their application, but it hasn't been passed yet. Okay. So technically they don't have a registered trademark. Here's the issue. I tell you guys, you cannot have the same name for a product in the same industry, right? So that's why we can have Dove soap and Dove chocolate, because you're never going to find soap and chocolate on the same aisle together. So Dove soap and Dove chocolate, they can coexist. Are shoes and restaurants in the same yeah, they never own the trademark, round Newness. So are shoes and restaurants in the same category? Let's just say you could put like if 1587 sneakers and the sneaker company and 1587 Prime, the steakhouse, is there a possibility of confusion there? Right? I don't think so, but they're saying that there could be a false association. Now, do y'all want to be associated with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, or do they want to be associated with you? Right? And then there is also the issue that you don't have a valid trademark. Okay. You filed your trademark very late. You filed it around the time that you found out that they were starting a restaurant. Okay. Yeah. You filed your trademark after you found out Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes were going to open a restaurant. And now you're trying to claim common law trademarks. Now, again, this has not gone through the courts yet, but my estimate, I don't think it's going to go very far, because I do not think that a reasonable person is going to think that a shoe brand named 1587 is going to be confused with a restaurant called 1587 Prime. But let me know what you guys think. Should Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce change the restaurant name? But let me throw this wrench in it, right? 1587 sneakers, they don't just sell sneakers, they sell t-shirts and apparel. And so does the steakhouse. 1587 Prime also sells, commemorative t-shirts and things like that. So again, is that enough for there to be too much overlap between 1587 sneakers and 1587 Prime, the restaurant? Now, for me, what I would do is that I would have some type of carve out situation. Maybe the t-shirts for the restaurant have to say specifically 1587 Prime, things like that. But I don't think that this trademark infringement suit is going to go very far. But we'll see what happens with them. Okay. But that just goes to show why you need to file your trademarks early. Okay. Next story that we are covering. Okay. This story is about chicken wings, y'all. I love me some chicken wings. If you like chicken wings, give me a chicken emoji. If you like chicken wings. If you like chicken wings. Okay. So there is a young entrepreneuress out here. Her name is Tyler Simone Creighton. Okay, Tyler Simone Creighton. She founded Sienna Wings. She started cooking wings at her house at the age of 14 in 2018. Okay, how many of y'all know people who sell plates out their house? If you know people who sell plates out of their house, give me a hand raise. Okay. Now, So now 20, so she starts making the wings at 14. At 16, she gets on Shark Tank. Okay, and they invest in her idea. This is 2020. After Shark Tank, her business takes off, and she starts selling her sauce, her sauce at grocery stores. Okay, so she had a special sauce that she would put on her wings, and she started selling them in the grocery stores. This is around 2020. Then, even further, she continues on the chicken route. Okay, early 2026, she opens her first brick and mortar restaurant. Okay, and she opens it in a master plan community. So I'm sure some of you live in areas where, hey Sis Nick, thank you for the heart me. I'm sure some of you live in areas that are called town centers, and they'll have, a bunch of businesses in an area like that, right? So now again, Tyler's wings, she called them Sienna wings. She was moving into a property called the Sienna Property Owners Association. And they said, thank you, honey. They said, if you want to have your restaurant in this complex, you need to sign a coexistence agreement. Okay. And the coexistence agreement said that the Property Owners Association would have first approval if she had locations anywhere in the world. Okay. And because she didn't want to sign the agreement, thank you for the populars, they did not, they will not allow her to put a sign up for her business. So her business is in this complex, but because she won't sign away certain rights, they won't allow her to put a sign up. Now, let me tell you the issues. So they want the company that owns the property, they want rights over any business changes or expansion. So that is very vague and that's very expansive. Any business changes, what counts as a business change? They want approval rights over expansion to other cities. Why do you need to know where I'm opening other restaurants? They want to know about expansion to other states. Again, why do you need to know if I'm opening other restaurants? And they want to know if you're expanding to other countries. Okay. And they want to have, not only do they want to know, they want to be able to approve that, which is really, really weird. But you can make a contract for whatever you want. A person doesn't have to sign it. Now, I don't know when this contract came about, either before or after she got in the property. But as of right now, she is running her her business out of this property, but she doesn't have a sign up because because she doesn't want to sign this egregious contract. So they are going through a big battle right now because and this could potentially, put a damper on her business. But she's like, I've been making these wings for 8 years. I'm not signing over no rights to anybody. And I commend her. Guys, you don't have to sign a contract just because somebody puts it in front of you, okay? If you don't like the terms, you don't have to sign them. Now, you may not get what you want, but you still have the right to refuse a contract if the terms are not agreeable to you, okay? And then you go back to the negotiating table. All right. So good luck to Tyler and her Sienna wings. All right. Okay. Next story. Before we move on, those of you who have just come in, you are watching Who's Getting Sued This Week. I am your host, Natalie Pierre Lewis. I am a business and trademark attorney, and I love teaching business and trademark concepts using pop culture and celebrity news. Okay. So if you are in a place where you are trying to where you're trying to open up your business, or you need to scale up your business, I help with that. You need help with contracts, you need help with trademarks, copyrights. I do all of that. Hit your girl up. Okay, all right. Don't mind me. Okay, guys. How my makeup girlies, how many of you purchase your cosmetics at hey Kulada, how many of you guys purchase your cosmetics at Walmart or Target, even though we're not supposed to be shopping at Target? How many of you guys purchase your cosmetics at places like Walmart or Target versus cosmetics retailers like Sephora, Ulta, things like that. Anybody here? I used to purchase cosmetics from Target. Anyway, if you purchase cosmetics from Walmart, you may want to rethink that because Estee Lauder has just launched a lawsuit against Walmart for fake products. Okay. So here is what happened in February of this year. So, just in the last few weeks, Estee Lauder filed a lawsuit against Walmart in the Central District Court of California, accusing the retail giant of selling counterfeit versions of products from brands like Aveda, Clinique, La Mer, Le Labo, and Tom Ford on Walmart.com. Now, these are all brands that are owned under the Estee Lauder brand banner. I encourage you guys to do a Google search and see how many brands are under the Estee Lauder brand banner. They own a lot of stuff. Okay, but anyway, and they own a lot of different cosmetics line. So Walmart was in there selling basically what they said was fake Estee Lauder products. Okay, now how did they know this? Estee Lauder purchased and tested products from Walmart's website. So they went on Walmart.com and they bought some and they saw the makeup on there, and they're like, this is not authentic because they don't have any licensing with Walmart. They do not have a distribution agreement with Walmart. I don't think I have ever seen Estee Lauder, Clinique, brands like that at Walmart, but I could be mistaken. Okay. So they said, look, we ordered this makeup off the Walmart website and it's fake. Okay. For example, they had a perfume that was called Intense Peach that looked just like the Tom Ford Bitter Peach. So it's not that they were naming them the same thing. They just were making their packaging and they were making their packaging very similar. Okay. So and what they're saying is that Walmart, they made their marks identical with substantially indistinguished that Walmart was selling products that you could not tell the difference between the actual Estee Lauder brand and the Walmart brand. Okay. So like the Tom Ford perfume, the Intense Peach that Walmart had, it was in the same type of orange packaging that you would find for Tom Ford's Bitter Peach. So Estee Lauder is like, nah, Walmart, you're not going to be out here perpetrating a fraud, acting like you're selling, perfume and cosmetic goods that are just as good as ours. So, and because of the way that they package these products, not because of the naming, not because they said that it was Estee Lauder, because of the way that the product looks, because packaging is very distinctive. That is a lot of the branding for a lot of these brands, right? The average consumer is going to be confused if Tom Ford and Walmart's Intense Peach both look the same. And if you can't see well, you might get one over the other, right? So Estee Lauder is suing Walmart for trademark infringement because they are selling cosmetic products that are meant to deceive the customer into thinking it is, closely affiliated with the original brand. All right. So for you guys out there who, you make, so I find a lot of like one of the things that I like to look at is bag designers on TikTok, right? And it's like if we use that example, everybody's trying to have the same bag, everybody's going after the Chanel's, the Hermes's, things like that. So if you're trying to get into that realm, if you're trying to make your way into that company, right, you might make the mistake of being inspired by them and accidentally infringe on their patented looks. But if you are a unique bag designer, like there's this one who I found on TikTok, the brand name is Caraïbe. I just bought a wallet from them. If you look at my TikTok post, I did a whole unboxing for the wallet. But she has a very distinctive bag, a distinctive shape that is not going to be confused for any of these other luxury brands out here, right? So you really want to be unique out here in these streets. Originality is key. All right. Okay. Next story that we are talking about. My friends who like to make AI videos. My friends who like to make AI videos. My friends who like to make AI videos. Okay. So, TikTok, you cannot see this, but I have a picture up of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt in a fight scene. Now, you may be asking yourself, what movie is that from? I would love to see that. It's not from a movie. It is an AI generated piece of film, and it is causing the Motion Picture Association to go crazy, y'all. So ByteDance, which is the company that owns TikTok, they recently released an app called Seed Dance. This is an AI generation video. You can make clips, but it uses, it is, hold on, let me get the exact wording for you, okay? So they dropped the app and it goes viral because of the AI generated video of Brad Pitt fighting Tom Cruise. Then, of course, the ByteDance people, they're like, we're going to respect intellectual property, whatever. So then the Motion Picture Association, who thus far has not gotten into the AI wars, they came back and they sent a cease and desist to the company, to ByteDance, saying, bump your apology, y'all are stealing, right? So now all of the big movie houses, Netflix, Warner Brothers, Disney, Paramount, Sony, SAG-AFTRA, CAA, they are all threatening lawsuits against Seed Dance because they are literally lifting content from things that are out there and creating unlicensed content, right? Plus, you're using celebrity likenesses. Do you know how much it costs to get Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt to endorse a product? And you're out here just putting their faces in things? Absolutely not. Okay. So because of this, ByteDance, they have put Seed Dance back in the corner. They said, you know what, let's take this back, let's change it up a little. And they have suspended the release for now until they can work out these bugs. But the movie houses and a lot of these people, their issue with the AI companies is they're saying it's the same formula. You guys, you come out with this technology that steals the information, and then you wait until we complain and file a lawsuit and then apologize, but you already have the information. So the movie houses are not having it, and ByteDance is like, we don't want the smoke right now, let's just take this app back. So be careful with your AI generations out there. Now, again, remember, if you want to make legitimate AI videos with licensed characters, remember that Disney has licensed several characters, over 200 characters, to Sora. Sora is the open AI video generation app, okay? So just keep that in mind. Next thing that we are talking about. Okay. Hold on. All right. You know what? I don't want to talk about this because it brings up too many different platforms, and I don't want no problems with TT regarding that. Okay. Here is a story that I want to talk to you guys about. This is why it is important for you guys to be very careful with who you assign rights to when it comes to intellectual property. Okay, I'm going to read you a story. Title of this story says, Who Really Owns Your Trademark? The startup nightmare no one warns you about. So, buckle up, take a swig of water, take some notes, all right? So 2015, a company called Ripple Analytics, they start using the mark Ripple for their HR software, RIPPLE, okay? 2015. 2 years later, another company files a trademark for Rippling, RIPPLING. But the USPTO said no, because there's already the Ripple for HR. Okay. So the People Center, the people who got rejected, they abandoned their application. They're like, fine, the USPTO said no, but they keep using the name Rippling. Right. So now the original company, the HR company, Ripple Analytics, they had the trademark for Ripple. They assigned that trademark to the owner of the company, to the co-founder. So the trademark originally belonged to the business, and then they're like, you know what, we're doing some restructuring. Let's put the trademark in the name of one of the co-founders. So it's like if I don't know, let's say Coca-Cola. It's like, Coca-Cola has these trademarks. Coca-Cola, the trademarks are owned by the Coca-Cola company, but then Coca-Cola is going through some restructuring. So they take all of the trademarks, the Coke bottle, the Coca-Cola name, all that, and they give it to the CEO of Coca-Cola and say, you hold that, you own this now while we restructure, right? Now, the company that restructured, Ripple for HR, they sued the Rippling company. But the thing that they forgot is they assigned the trademarks to the co-founder. You cannot assert trademark rights for something you don't own. So remember, I said they were restructuring their company. During the restructuring, they reassigned. Why can't y'all see me? During the restructuring, they reassigned the trademarks. So now it looks like they belong to the co-founder. So who it has the right to file for trademark infringement? Not Ripple, but the co-founder. Okay. So this is why you need to be very careful and keep careful notes and be meticulous about where your intellectual property is assigned. You cannot assert intellectual property rights that you not own. If you don't own a trademark, you can't sue for that trademark. So even though this business had owned the trademark before, you gave it to somebody else. I don't know, maybe there was a de minimis value. He paid $1 for it or whatever, but you assigned it to someone else, so it no longer belongs to you. So you no longer have those intellectual property rights. This is also kind of like that story we talked about with the Jelly Belly beans, right? The man who created Jelly Belly beans, who started the company, he sold all of his rights in the company, including the trademark. But then he went and started a CBD gummy company, and he called that Welly Jelly Beans or something like that. And the company that he founded sued him for trademark infringement because he sold the rights to that name, and it was too close to Jelly Belly. Okay, so if you sell your rights, why is it so? Y'all can't see me? Hold up, something going on here. Okay. So, if you sell your trademark rights, you cannot assert those rights later. Okay, you just can't. All right. Next story what time is it? We 34 minutes in. Okay. Yeah. So the case was dismissed because the company Ripple for HR, they didn't have any standing. Okay. All right. Oh, this is very important. All my artists who make 2-dimensional art, if you're mixed media, paintings, all of that, I need y'all to perk up your ears. If you have an artist in your life who makes two-dimensional art, I need y'all to hear this, okay? The U.S. Copyright Office dropped a new rule last week. Okay, it is going to let creators register up to 20 published two-dimensional artworks in one go. So prior to this, if you were a two-dimensional artist, if you did paintings, if you did drawings, if you did mixed media, you had to register each of your works one by one, which can be tedious and costly, because while the copyright is only $65, if you're trying to copyright 20 pieces of work, that becomes $1,300. So the Copyright Office has now said that you can copyright up to 20 two-dimensional artworks at one time. Here is the caveat, okay? Here is the caveat. They have to be, again, two-dimensional. They have to be by the same person. So a group of artists can't do, one of these 20 copyrights. So it has to be one for one artist. And all of the art has to have been published in the same calendar year. So you can't put things from 2022, 2024, and 2026 and then try to copyright them all at once. If you're going to copyright in 2026, or if you're going to copyright anything this year, let's say it's 20 photos, they either have to all have been done in 2025 or 2024. No mixing the years, okay? And then also mixed media creators, you guys who combine photos with other art, heavily transformed or edited images can qualify as two-dimensional artworks, okay? But standard photos still have their own photography specific things. So they have made things a lot easier for two-dimensional artists, all right? So again, I want to remind you guys, there is a meeting being held by the U.S. Copyright Office tomorrow where they are going to be training people and showing y'all the new copyright system. It is completely free to attend. All you have to do is register, okay? If you want the link, I will DM it to you, okay? All right. Next. All right. Are we good? Are y'all good? I feel like there's a little low. Is everybody doing okay? I want to stop in the middle of this and just let y'all know that this live is brought to you by this little light here. I love this thing. I've had this for a very long time. It has multiple modes. It is the ultimate selfie light. It's all I need with my tripod to get this live thing popping. So check that out, as well as that grippy thing in there. It helps you. So if you need to stick your phone to like a wall or to your mirror, if you're trying to do like a makeup tutorial or whatever. Okay. All right. Moving on. All right. Recently, Meta, the people who own all them other apps, they got. Oh, hold up. Let me put the picture up. I almost forgot. They got sued, y'all, for $50 million. $50 million. $50 million. Ooh. Meta recently got sued for $50 million. Hello, Beast Mode Berg. I'm going to tell you why. Okay. So between 2018 and 2025, this company called Wixen Music Publishing, they licensed their entire catalog to Meta. And this had songs from artists like the Black Eyed Keys, Missy Elliott, The Doors, and Weezer. So they said you could use these on the different apps, the Book of Faces, the kilos, grams, and milligrams, and the international favorite WhatsApp. Okay. Now in 2025, they come back to the table because they have to renew the deal. And Meta is like, well, we don't want to pay you all this money we've been paying you. We want to pay you this much. So Wixen was like, You tried it, and negotiations fell apart. They're like, we not taking the pickle juice, okay? Um, so even though they did not come to they did not agree on a new agreement, Meta continued to use Wixon's music after the license expired. Okay, so and then and also during the negotiations, apparently Meta tried to force Wixon to agree to their terms because they removed all of the music, all of Wixon's clients' music from the platform, okay, and then said that it was Wixon's fault. So Meta was like, we want to pay you 50% of what we were paying you before. Wixon said no. Meta said, okay, well, we're not playing this music no more, and we're gonna tell all your artists that it's your fault. Okay. So now Wixon has filed a lawsuit against Meta for almost $50 million for copyright infringement because they keep using the music, and also for defamation and business interference because they were telling the artists who had their music removed that it was Wixon's fault and not Meta's fault. Okay. So now this case is not it has not been resolved yet. So we don't know what's going to happen, but that is a measure of, that's what you would call could render a contract, what do you call that, void. Remember I told you guys, a contract is void if you are forced to sign it, and forcing can mean threatening to harm you physically or economically or ruin your reputation. Anytime somebody tries to force you to sign an agreement that you don't want to sign, and and tries to do things to quote unquote punish you for not signing that, that contract could never be considered valid. So now Wixon, they are suing Meta for $50 million. Okay. And then we have another lawsuit about gambling here. So Drake and Aiden Ross, they have just been hit with not a second but a third lawsuit over their endorsement of the stakes betting platform. You have multiple people who are filing lawsuits against stakes and against Drake and Aiden Ross because they're saying that they lost significant amounts of money because Drake and Aiden basically said that, you are almost guaranteed to make money off of stakes. Okay. Now, Drake and Aiden Ross, they have not been criminally charged with anything. Okay. These are not criminal suits. These are just people, filing civil lawsuits against Drake and Aiden Ross, saying that they lost money gambling, which, first of all, I don't get, because at the bottom of all of these gambling things, they say, nothing's guaranteed. Y'all have gambling problems. I don't understand. I don't. If I was the judge, I would throw it out. But I'm not the judge anyway. But then there's also there's also the floating idea that the money that stakes generated from users was used to basically pay for more spins for Drake's music. So it's very, very messy. But when you are promoting an app, you really need to be careful, or promoting something. If you are the spokesperson for a product or a service or anything, you need to be very careful about, first of all, what you say. You need to disclose that you're being paid. You need to disclose, how you're, what the relationship is, and be truthful. Be truthful, and stop doing this online gambling, y'all. It's getting out of hand. Just go to the real casino. Um, all right. Okay, and let me see what else. Oh, wait, that was the hold up. Crap. Move from studio. And then the last story that I want to share with y'all. Hold on a second. Let me look at this. My throat is already dry. Okay. All right. So got sued and blocked to establish his brand. TLDR. No. Runner. Okay, so there has been a conclusion about the OpenAI Sora app. If you guys remember, their OpenAI when they came out with the Sora 2, there was a feature on there called Cameo, and that Cameo feature directly competes with the Cameo app, where celebrities where people will pay celebrities to do messages for them. So the court has said that while they are litigating this, OpenAI or Sora, they cannot use the term Cameo on the app. So for those of you who may be using Sora, check it out. There was a feature on there called Cameo. It's probably not there anymore. So check it out, okay? Um, because that is a trademarked brand. All right. So, wow, that went really quickly tonight. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. You guys are awesome. Hey, Leaks Dope. But yeah, this is tonight's stories. I will be splitting them up. If you missed anything, you can catch the replay. You know where to find that. And if you have any questions about tonight's stories, let me just recap those real quick for y'all. We talked about the Kalshi betting predictor app that was using March Madness and got in trouble. We talked about Drake and Aiden Ross getting in trouble for promoting this stakes app. We talked about Meta being sued for $50 million for pirating music. We talked about a young lady building a chicken wing empire, and the property association is hating. We talked about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce opening a restaurant and being sued by a shoe brand. We talked about Estee Lauder suing Walmart for selling counterfeit cosmetics. We also talked about ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok and Seedance, getting the smackdown from the Motion Picture Association. And we also talked about we did not talk about the Snapchat because that was just too much. We talked about why it's important to make sure you are careful about where you assign your intellectual property, because if you don't own the intellectual property, you cannot sue for it. Then we talked about the new copyright rule that lets two-dimensional artists register up to 20 images at one time, or 20 pieces of 2D art at one time. And then yeah, and yeah, the we talked about OpenAI. We talked about Drake and Aiden Ross, and then Kalshi. Yeah. So if you miss any of those, you can catch them on the flip side. This is where I leave you guys. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful evening. And you know, be good to yourselves. Bye.